Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the Professor Greg Dooley and the Pundit Steve Clark. Men, take the mic.
It's the Professor and the Pundit with Greg Dooley and Steve Clark, and we're proudly presented by Nick Hopwood, who's a certified financial planner, founder, and president of Peak Wealth Management. Retire with peak confidence. You can visit Nick's website at peakwm.com. And it's a unique pod today as we are recording Friday afternoon from the Brown Jug on 1204 South University.
And it's episode 75, Steve, so it's a bit of a celebration. What do I have in my hand? Some Buckeye tears. But I lead with a question, Steve. Who is on these hallowed walls of the Brown Jug here? Are these icons, legends? Who are these walls reserved for, Steve Clark? Tell me.
Michigan's best, and I have a feeling because you brought it up, there's a picture of you somewhere on here.
The picture of the professor?
I have not seen the picture of the professor
my
here.
God.
It's here, right? It's only reserved for
Absolutely.
very important people, and you are on it.
I don't like to talk about it. I don't like to talk about it.
Of course not.
I don't like to talk about it.
Of course not. Of course, you haven't made it unless your name is actually on the menu.
Right.
That's a part of it too. That's a more exclusive list.
That's a great point. Now, there are a lot of people on the menu, and you have to rotate the menu, Steve, because what happens to coaches? Players leave, coaches get fired. Poor Perry. I wonder what his budget is, the owner of the Brown Jug, who we might hear from, by the way. I wonder what his budget is on menus. That might be a good question for him. And, Dooley's going to get like the side asparagus or something like that. I think that would be, you know what? But I would take it.
Wait a minute. That means when you talk, it's gassy.
Right. Right. I'll take
You're
it.
a windbag.
You know what? I'll take it because that menu's getting framed, right? So it's only for a few months. All right, Steve. So, it's funny that we're here because this is really how we started this idea of even having a podcast. Because as you probably, if you've been a listener for now a long time, Steve and I, we have a natural rapport. We're friends. We hang out together. And like a lot of podcasts, I think, we said, we talk about all this stuff. Why don't we put some of this, on tape? I think some people might actually be interested in some of the things we talk about, right?
I agree. And, last weekend I was in College Station, Texas with some dear friends to watch the Texas A&M Auburn game. And the first thing that I wanted to do when arriving to College Station was to find a tavern in the heart of campus and get a feel of what the vibe is like. And I suspect whether you're visiting from Madison the night before the Michigan-Wisconsin game or coming back to campus as an alum for homecoming, you're doing the same thing too.
Yeah, and I think like when you think about the Jug and you think about the other iconic places here on campus, whether it's Charlie's, if you are downtown on Main Street, it's the Chop House, right? Or it's the Black Pearl. But these are places that alums love to go, love to hang out, and we're right in the middle of it. And I love because this is a situation, Steve, where we've got a little red. It's not Buckeye red.
No.
Our beer is red. But there's some Wisconsin red here in the crowd, and actually I'm one of those guys who loves to mix it up with those other fans, and I don't know if you've felt any of that. Yeah,
in a good way.
I do.
You're not mixing it up to trade bars with them or insult them or anything like that.
No,
that's not your style.
It always starts with a good luck Saturday kind of thing, or good luck today if it's Saturday.
You're like the usher at Notre Dame.
Now, but did you have any skin in the game on your trip to Texas?
No.
Did you care? You just wanted to have fun.
Oh no, I was with dear friends, so I wanted Texas A&M to win.
Yeah,
they did. Their kids go to Texas A&M. At least one does. The second one may be going. So getting used to what it's like for them. I mean, they're thinking about investing in property in College Station so they can save some dollars for their kids.
Yeah, I got it. So they need Nick Hopwood, our illustrious sponsor.
Absolutely. So you know how to do this right. How to buy a house and put it in your LLC. That's the type of thing that we're looking at. And by the way,
that's chess, not checkers.
Nick could probably help you with that. But also, like we went to a tailgate that was sponsored by Aggie Moms. Talk about the whole experience there in another episode. On a homecoming in Michigan, let's not talk about the Aggies. Let's talk about the Wolverines and the things that we have seen over the last few days.
Yeah. So where do you want to go, Steve, about this team? So we always lead off with football. What are you pleased with so far? What you've seen in the Michigan football team? What are you optimistic about? I think there's a lot there that we've seen that's good, and there's some other stuff. So what do you see that's good?
I mean, obviously, the first thing anybody wants to know about is how you feel about Bryce Underwood, the number one overall player and prospect in the country as a true freshman starting. This is not normally a good thing to have a true freshman, just barely 18 years old in late August, starting for the University of Michigan football team. I'm sure that was not really a part of the plan, but he is there and he is learning quick, and we're finding out how mature and how developed he is going through. And we're going to see major improvements as the season goes along. I'm seeing that right now between games 1 and 4. But the thing that I'm really, really excited about is Justice Haynes, the transfer tailback out of Alabama, who's breaking a big one in almost every game he's played. In fact, he has broken a big one for a touchdown over 50 yards in each game that he played. Now, the one against Central Michigan was called back,
Yep.
but he was going to score anyway. That penalty was away from the play. So the idea that you could have a Michigan running back breaking it away with nobody catching him from behind, kind of Donovan Edwards like in every game, I mean, that is something really to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. And at some point, if he keeps doing it, Steve, he's going to be up and up on that list of Heisman candidates,
I
right?
don't see how you could avoid it if you
Yeah.
just did it every single game. Now, you can't expect it to happen every single game, but it's certainly a nice start.
Right. But every Heisman winner at Michigan, they had their defining moment, their defining game. It was in that last game in November against Ohio State. So we have some time. He's got the numbers so far. We'll see. I'm with you on Bryce. This does not look like his body language, the way he conducts himself, like an 18-year-old, a fresh 18-year-old. He's acting like something else. And again, to your point, what I like to see is he does seem to be getting better, which is so exciting right here with 4 games in.
Well, it's crazy that we're in a year where the junior, senior, upperclassmen quarterbacks are really struggling. You look at Clemson's Cape Klubnik, LSU's Nussmeier, Arch Manning, of course, at Texas, although technically he's in his 3rd year and still an underclassman. The guys that have been talked about all summer long, Norris Sellers out of South Carolina, struggling. So what you're hearing is true freshmen or redshirt freshmen like a Bryce, like a CJ Carr at Notre Dame. And in the Big Ten, you've got Damon Williams at Washington making his first, full season as a starter. And Maryland has their own top 100 quarterback in Malik Washington. He's a true freshman. Those two teams will be playing this weekend. So there's a lot of youth coming in at the quarterback position. And the one thing that they're saying about all of these young guys is how mature they are and how they're not making the freshman mistakes that you would expect to see that we've always seen in the past.
It's interesting because we saw that same progression in the NFL where they were putting in those drafted quarterbacks earlier and earlier and earlier and making an impact. We saw that with the last class, how big of impact they made all the way into the playoffs.
Right.
Now we're seeing it in college football. The offensive line has to be a plus because someone is creating those open lanes for the Justice Haynes and now Jordan Marshall, and they've had backup guys make it happen. It's been exciting to see. I don't know if everyone was expecting that. I know a lot of people were worried about it. The play of Greg Crippen has also been a lot better than people thought.
And they've also had to do it with injuries.
Yep.
You have Gio being out for a couple of games, and then of course you've had Brady Norton, who was out, and they're getting healthier.
Yeah.
They're getting healthier. That's a good sign, and they've certainly made some explosive plays. Would love to see some more consistency, but you take what you can get. The other thing that I'm really excited about is the move of Jayshawn Barham from middle linebacker to edge rusher. I mean, that started in game 3 at CMU. I think that, and he's a playmaker waiting to happen, and he certainly showed it against Central. Getting 2 sacks in the first quarter and then, making some moves against Nebraska's offensive line.
To me, he's one of those rare guys that he's worth the price of admission. I've said this before. We haven't had that many guys where they just dominate. Aiden Hutchinson was certainly one of them. All eyes on the guy. Now it's on number 1. I love it. Secondary, any concerns, any questions?
Look, I'm happy about cornerback Jaden Sanders performing above expectations as a starter, filling in for Zeke Barron. You might have to continue now that Jair Hill is a bit banged up. So Jaden Sanders, who's a freshman, might be able to, get some more playing time. And he has certainly not been a liability in the 2 starts that he's had over the last 2 games. And the other thing I'll mention is that our top 2 tight ends appear to be healthy.
Yeah.
With Marlon Klein and Hogan Hansen for the first time all season long. They're so important to the Michigan offense, and it's important to have both of these guys healthy and ready to go.
That's right. And Klein was the guy I thought was going to emerge last year. I think he's going to be such a key player and has proven to be so this year. We have some concerns, though, Steve.
Oh, sure.
You raised one early in the season about our receivers. Where are we at with that?
Well, I mean, the talent will come eventually, but is there enough talent for this season? There was a several number of drops that took place in the Nebraska game, and it wasn't the only game that they've had it. During the bye week, Sharon Moore was, looking at the, kind of a tryout at the receiver position. And if they indeed had it, Fred Moore didn't escalate into the top 3, and he decided that he wants to leave the University of Michigan. So maybe that was the catalyst. You played 4 games, you can preserve, a redshirt year in that, but also they had a retry out for that position unit, and maybe that indicates that nothing's going to change. But Bryce is going to have better receiving talent as he gets older, because it's going to be such a draw to bring players not only from the high school, but from the transfer portal, which will inevitably come up next year.
Right. And we've seen Andrew Marsh on the field. We've seen him targeted a little bit.
Yep.
I just have a feeling, Steve, we're going to see a lot more of Andrew Marsh as someone
he's a true freshman. And again, it takes time for these guys to develop. I remember Jamie Morris, famed running back at Michigan, once the, all-time leading rusher at the U of M, told me before the season that he thought that Andrew Marsh was going to be the big surprise and the biggest threat to the receiving corps as a true freshman. I love it when I hear that young guys are replacing starter incumbents. That's, to me, a sign of an improving football team. If you got 11 starters coming back on offense, but some young guys took some starter positions away from people who have been established as a starter, that just tells you your football team's getting better.
So a little inside pool. Last year, things got a little rough. We won a huge game against USC. But what I had heard is there were some cracks in the armor of the locker room, just between us girls, right? And I think we got some really strong captains this year. I think we got a really good culture. But boy, Steve, that Nebraska game was probably not as close as it should have been. But either way, it was a close road game. Had we lost that game, I wonder how we would have recovered from that and been 2-2. The game was huge.
No, I'll tell you what. If Michigan had lost to Nebraska, nobody would be thinking that Michigan could beat USC on October 11th either.
No.
And so you're looking at maybe a 3-3 football team before the football hunt goes on. That sounds like a 7-5 season. That could be a 6-6 season, but they won at Nebraska. And they did it not playing their best football. There was a ton of missed tackles in that game. Despite the 7 sacks the defensive line had, they could have probably had it up to 10.
Yeah.
There was also some mental mistakes going on in that game, too, that allowed Nebraska to have a possession continue. And they were able to put points on the board. So the good news here is, if I want to look things at glass half full, which is currently what my Buckeye tiers is at the moment, it is half full, ready to order another one soon, is that this team has room to improve if they can cut down on some of those mistakes and get improved play from your starting true freshmen as they get a little bit more seasoned.
Missed tackles, mental mistakes. We've had some coaching mistakes. We've had some drops.
You're referring to the Hail Mary as the coaching mistake?
Well, we covered that last episode. People like to talk about it.
By the way, I just want to know your point of reference.
Biff came into my class. I just got to say this, my leadership class. I didn't ask him about it. It was going too strong, Steve. Biff, hey, you had 3 timeouts, right? No, I didn't get that. He tried to squash me. He's a big man, by the way. All right.
Yes, he is.
All right. Well, we got Wisconsin in, right? And they're a funny study as someone who teaches the history of college athletics, as someone who's obviously a fan of this program. We're sitting in a place called the Brown Jug,
Right.
which of course is named after and modeled after, and there's images of it all around here. Our rivalry with Minnesota, which is
Yeah.
a very historic rivalry and a rivalry that goes back to the founding of the Big Ten in 1896. Wisconsin was one of those teams, Steve, right? Wisconsin was one of those founding members, yet it's just not quite the same rivalry level. Certainly, you'd say maybe Minnesota, but certainly not a rival from our perspective.
Right.
Not a rival with Michigan, not above Ohio State, obviously, not above Michigan State, obviously, not above Notre Dame, obviously. But I would put them below even Minnesota, even Penn State. They're somewhere down in that middle area.
Yeah.
And it really is a funny thing. And I've thought about this a lot. And there's some reasons for that. We've had some heated things happen. For the pregame segment, I'm doing a little story about 1986.
Okay.
Who was the quarterback? It was a night game. It was weird. By the way, Bo,
I
night
remember.
game, was absolutely pissed that it was a night game in Madison, Wisconsin. What do they like to do that we're doing right now in Madison, Wisconsin?
Drink some beer.
In a night game. And I don't think they sold it in the stadium. In fact, I think Wisconsin was actually one of the last schools to do that. They got loud. Michigan was dominating the game.
Yep.
Jim Harbaugh set a passing record. I believe it was the first time we had a passer over 300 yards, and it was Jim Harbaugh. He set the passing record. He broke his own record for passing yards. Late in the game, Michigan's up. The crowd is screaming. And back then, I know the pundit will know this, but back then, you could just sit there and wait. And if the crowd did not settle down, if you had timeouts, they charged you a timeout.
Correct.
Steve, it happened twice to Wisconsin.
Yes, it did.
They got 2 charges. I love that you know this.
And what's great about it is when they announced to the crowd that you're costing us, the refs have issued a penalty, they just get louder.
We're too pickled.
We just get louder. And so back in that era, Harbaugh was asking for clock time, resting time. He did it at Wisconsin. He did it in Iowa in 1985. He did it at Ohio State in 1986. For the Big Ten championship, he asked the crowd to quiet down. And of course, the fans just get louder when they do something like that. By the way, something that was left out in this, that I believe this was Bo's 200th win.
It was
all time,
but not at Michigan.
Not at Michigan.
All time as a coach. You're exactly right. Well done, Steve. So the in the post game, Wisconsin's coach was banging on Harbaugh and said he was stubborn. Can you imagine that? Jim Harbaugh was stubborn. He was stubborn about it. It's Jim Harbaugh. So they turned the mic over to Harbaugh, and he said, they asked, well, what about the refs? What about the Wisconsin coach? He said, they don't have to answer to Bo on Sunday. I do. Or, I do. He has a little higher voice.
Yeah.
What a classic line by Harbaugh, but an amazing game.
And that I have forgotten about.
Yeah.
That's a great line.
Well, we've had those moments, and we've had others, right?
Oh, yeah. 2001 was the game that I actually went to Camp Randall for the first time. And there's a lot to go into this. Actually, the game itself seemed to undertone the entire weekend. So the station I was worked for, and still work for, the Big 1050 WTKA, was having a remote where we were taking fans to the game. And we did it for all the road games. And this was done with an RV company. The lucky winners rode in an RV with celebrities. Yeah. From the Big 1050.
Wait a minute.
Well,
so
all right, I'm stopping.
you were the contest.
Yes.
And the prize was you got to not only hang out at the game with these radio people, like we do a lot of times in the tent.
Right.
No, you actually got in a van or a bus and actually drove to Wisconsin.
Yes. Now, let me tell you, this is probably going to get me in trouble. So it's a Friday night, and I was invited as an add-on. I was not the designated person who was supposed to run the trip.
Yeah, to be clear, you weren't a fan. You were one of the famous people here. Okay,
well, not exactly. But again, I was an add-on to the list. So guess what? We are leaving Friday night from Ann Arbor in an RV, driving straight to Madison. We get to Madison around 3 a.m. Did anybody have any plans about where to park in Madison in an RV? No, they did not. And so we just figured there would be a Pioneer High School parking lot for most RVs. Pay $100 or whatever it is to get in, and everything would be fine.
Honestly, in fairness, it's a reasonable assumption.
We drive around, we can't find any RV parking whatsoever. And I'm stunned because I figure of all the places, Camp Randall would have RV parking somewhere. So we can't find anything. We find a nearby hotel. There isn't room enough for our RV. So we circle around. I see campus security. We stop at the campus police station. Where can we park this RV?
You're SOL, buddy.
No help. So eventually, we find some RV parking in the middle of downtown Madison. And the sign says no parking between 3 and 5 a.m. Maybe it wasn't even 3. Maybe it was midnight. I don't know. But we're there at 3. And we just decided to go ahead and go in. There were other RVs there. So after a 6.5-hour drive to Madison, an hour worth of trying to find a parking spot, we settle on this place that technically we're not supposed to be in. We take a deep breath. We rest. We turn the lights out. Put the blankets over our heads and see if we can get 3 hours of sleep.
A little shut-eye.
As everyone is starting to fall asleep, I'm looking straight out the front windshield. And I notice, because I'm, particular about things, that the red W on the back of the spare wheel didn't look centered on the RV in front of us. And then I kind of noticed there were other RVs that had a red W, not so quietly centered where it should be in the back. And I looked at it closer, and I squinted, and I says, that's not supposed to be there. Those red W's have been spray painted on all the vehicles.
Oh, my God.
Now, mind you, everybody was just falling asleep but me. And by the way, it was 28 degrees outside. Why do I remember this from 25 years ago? Because who was standing outside at 4 a.m. in the morning guarding the RV?
The big guy.
Me.
The pun. That's a big pun.
So
that's horrifying, Steve.
Everybody's got.
I didn't drive my Lexus there.
Everything. Everybody's RV was spray painted with a red W. So now I am posting guard in 28-degree weather. It's not fun. I don't take northern weather well. I'm a Florida guy in terms of internal body temperature.
Yeah.
I'd rather take 90 degrees in heat like I did last week in College Station than be in 28-degree weather
Steve,
out in Wisconsin.
I love it. But now, as a member of the pregame show,
yes,
which if you're just catching us for the first time, of course, Steve, gosh, has it been 20 years you've been doing this? Is it longer than that?
It is 20. I believe it's 21 years for me now.
Incredible. Like, it's actually where I first met you in the tent.
Okay.
It's actually where I first met you. I was a fan. I called in. I got in the tent. And I introduced myself. You probably don't remember because I was starstruck.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a pun.
You're not now.
Yeah. No, not anymore. We're buds. So I love it. But now you've got teams of people descending on Joe's garage to set up.
Oh, that's great.
You merely walk up. You have a Bloody Mary, a sip. You put on the microphone and you do your magic now.
Don't have to worry about it.
It's beautiful.
Just have to produce the 3 hours myself. But
what can I tell one more little story of Wisconsin
absolutely.
history?
Yeah.
So back in the day, Michigan's never had a mascot. Ward Manuel was in my class. I asked him about this. Are we going to have a mascot? It was like, no, not on my watch. And what, by the way, what is our is it going to be a big block M? Is it going to be like a guy walking around? Because they always screw up the outfit. It looks like a wolf or a bear or something in between.
Is there anybody that wants to say your watch has ended?
Right.
Not me, but
right.
I'm fine with it.
So, fielding HEOs.
Yes.
One of the guys we talk about in our class quite a bit. The guy who was there when this tradition of the Brown Jug rivalry started. Amazing, right? So, he sees that Wisconsin has a furry, actual live badger as a mascot in the 1920s.
Okay.
There's pictures of the football players with tickling the badger.
Oh, nice.
It looks like a fat groundhog.
Do they still have 3 fingers left?
Yeah, but this apparently was a very soft one. So Yost is a proud man. He does not want to be one-upped. ask yourself why we have the biggest stadium. Okay. He wanted to make sure we had the biggest stadium, bigger than Illinois.
Right.
Okay. So they're making this work. Why don't we have Wolverines? And someone said he's from West Virginia. Coach, they're not exactly like running around. I know we're the Wolverine state, and I know the Wolverines. I know it, but it's weird. They're not actually in Michigan. Okay.
We need to smuggle one from Ontario.
So they went further, Steve. They went up to Alaska, Yukon territory. They sent trappers out. They bring them back. They find Wolverines. They tout them out. They bring them out. We actually used to have a zoo on campus here in Ann Arbor. They bring them out for the 1927 stadium dedication game in a giant cage. It looked like a minibus with 6 or 7 guys carrying it in. They try to keep these things in captivity. Of course, Wolverines, they are not gentle creatures. They are not meant to be kept in captivity.
No.
A horrible outcome.
No.
A horrible outcome. And that's probably a good reason why we never tried to double down and try to do a mascot. So blame Wisconsin is my conclusion here.
That sounds like a logical thing to do in general. Just blame Wisconsin.
I wonder, do you think Wisconsin, where do they put us on their list, Steve? So it's Minnesota, right?
Yep.
For sure, right?
Right.
Is that number one? Who is it for them?
Yeah, I would think it's either going to be Wisconsin. Wisconsin's would be Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska, but it's really down to Minnesota and Iowa.
Yeah. Somewhere in there, though, we want to beat Wisconsin. It's somewhere in there.
Yep.
It's in there, but I think that's interesting. You're right, because neither one of us would consider them a rival, and I do think it comes down to that early scheduling. When we formed the Big Ten, we picked Chicago, we picked Minnesota. We left the Big Ten, came back, but Wisconsin wasn't a regular feature. Then we picked Ohio State. They weren't a regular feature on our schedule. Probably a regional thing. They paired Wisconsin with Minnesota, Iowa, right, and those teams out there. It probably makes sense when you think about it that way, but we just don't have that history with them. Now, we don't have history with Indiana either. We don't really have history with Iowa. We made choices in our scheduling because you got to remember, back in the early days, we didn't play everybody. We played a couple few teams, so you had to pick and choose. And then Michigan State came into the picture.
Well, yeah, here's a few other things to think about is where did your coaches come from?
Right.
A lot of Wisconsin's coaches came from Iowa. Barry Alvarez came from Iowa. Brett Bielema came from Iowa. I mean, a lot of these guys were under the Hayden Fry tree. Michigan and Bo Schembechler was under the Woody Hayes tree. And then there was a lot of people that, were under the Bo Schembechler tree. So that's all a part of it. And when you look at the rivalries even done by the Big Ten today, Wisconsin has 2 rivals that they'll play every single year, whereas Penn State has none.
Yeah.
But the ones that Wisconsin plays is Minnesota and Iowa.
Yep.
Michigan has 2. It's Ohio State and Michigan State.
Right.
But there are some schools that it's only 1.
My point is, though, that's born out of this history, and you just laid down a lot of it.
And in fact, to be accurate, it's 3. Minnesota's got Iowa, Wisconsin. I'm sorry, Wisconsin has Iowa, Minnesota, and Nebraska. They're locked in as a threesome, whereas Penn State doesn't have any.
Yep, very interesting. If we have time, we're going to talk about Penn State. One of our favorite people to talk about on this podcast. Wildly, the Hawkeyes come up a lot in our podcast, Steve. At least,
and you want to talk about that? I mean, there wasn't any coaching really kind of history between the 2 schools, but the administrators had a lot of common history.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Mary Sue Coleman coming here, Buff Elliott,
right?
They're most iconic, without question, and one of the most in the Big Ten athletic director. Amazing. Right. Obviously, Michigan man, Purdue man, then Michigan man, then Iowa.
And you won't get anyone to say this, but I've seen Iowa's renovation to their stadium before Michigan did theirs in 2008.
Tell me.
It's a lot of similarities.
Okay.
Between the way the structures look. And I would be convinced to say that a lot of the pattern was based off what Iowa did, especially with their brick.
Well, one of the things I always tell my students in the history of college athletics, Michigan isn't always the first. But we tend to get it right in the end. And to the frustration of fans, but we tend to get it right in the end. That's probably another example of it. All right, Steve, are we going to a break?
Let's go to a break.
All right, sounds good.
If you grew up in Michigan like me, you were a Pistons fan. We always hated the Bulls and Michael Jordan, but we were super jealous of their starting lineup introductions with the music and the lights turned off. But then I grew up and realized how awesome Jordan was. And in 2016, when Michigan was the first school to wear a Jordan brand, then Jordan was on the field as honorary captain for the first game, and I've never cheered louder, except when Jaden Milroe was stuffed on 4th and goal at the Rose Bowl.
Low snap, Milroe stopped! Michigan makes a stand!
Hey, it's Nick Hopwood, Certified Financial Planner with Peak Wealth Management. I want to introduce you to our new PCS program, Private Client Services, where our fees will now include your annual tax prep costs and getting your estate plan set up. Our clients love that their investments, financial plan, taxes, and estate plan are all tied together with us as the lead. If you're looking for a second opinion, please reach out to us at peakwm.com/mgoblog today.
All right, we're back at the Jug, and what a pleasure, what an honor to have the son of the Godfather. Where does that make you, Nico?
A child.
Yeah, a child of the Godfather. Nico Porikos here with us. And one of the reasons we wanted to come to the Jug, beyond the iconic status here, behind all the legends and the history of this place on homecoming, was to talk about Buckeye Tears, right? But first, just a little bit about your background here, Michigan. Of course, you're the son of Perry, the owner of the iconic Jug. But can you just share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, grew up in Ann Arbor. Went to Pioneer High School, right across from the Big House. Was a hockey player growing up. Got involved with the class of 2005. They kind of got me out of soccer, which was my dad's sport, and switched me over to hockey. Ended up playing hockey at Michigan from 14 to 18. Graduated in 18 and been doing a bunch of different entrepreneurial things since then.
That's awesome. So we're here. We're trying the Buckeye Tears. Now, I misunderstood. I thought you had your own brand of beer that was like a blend that you guys made or something like that, but that's not the case. It's actually a trademark, right?
Yeah.
Which is where maybe some of this stuff got into play.
Yeah.
So can you talk about the idea, or was it your idea? Who came up with this?
So it was my dad's idea. It started as kind of like a playful joke where we were just kind of sitting around the kitchen table, and he said, why don't we create, a fun beer that we name after the Jug or something related to it? And then it kind of got into the Ohio State thing. This started about a year ago. So last August, I think, going into football season. And obviously we're on a hot streak against the team down south. So I think just kind of spitballing, he thought Buckeyes, crying, and then Buckeye Tears just kind of came naturally to him.
Because it is so natural right now for Ohio State to be crying all the time. I had somebody come up to you and says, you're going to the Brown Jug. What's the latest on the Buckeye Tears deal? I mean, what's going on there? And I said, well, here's this. We're going to be talking to Nico about this later on in the podcast. But Ohio State is soft as Charmin.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's perfectly named. Perfectly named.
Yeah. It's it started. So technically right now it is not our own beer. Since this has come to light, since Ohio State fought back on it, and they waited till the last week to do that, but we can get into that in a little bit. We actually are now working with the brewery to make our own proprietary Buckeye Tear. So yes, it's on the way.
I love it.
Yeah.
So it's the brand, and right now it's been a rotating beer.
Yeah.
The trademark around Buckeye Tear. So you actually go out and get it trademarked and all that stuff.
We worked with a local Ann Arbor lawyer, Michigan grad, ex-athlete as well here at Michigan. So we've had crazy support. In our initial filing of the trademark, and since the case has come up, we had Michigan lawyers reach out saying, we'll help you. Let me know what you guys need.
Is this Rich Hewlett? Is this somebody like that? Or
No.
Okay, you don't want to say. Okay, so, all right. You got this thing. It's fun. It's a fun idea. It's bringing people into the bar. Then we all hear that the Buckeyes actually have a problem with this.
Yeah.
Who was it? What happened? How did you find out?
So we filed it. We were granted it, or at least it was pending. And then there's a grace period that's 6 months after the trademark date's up. So they waited till the last week of the post 6 month process of already waiting. They waited another 6 months, and the last week they filed. So right at the year mark, they filed this stop, I guess, a counter lawsuit against us. And then we were notified that there was a huge stink. All the news channels took it and ran with it. And it kind of just blew up out of nowhere. And honestly, it wasn't really a big thing until they pushed back, and now it's taken off.
So we are talking about a school that tried to trademark the word "the."
Crazy.
Okay.
Crazy.
Right. I feel like, to your point, Steve, they step on themselves all the time, like insisting that they're tough, insisting that we're going to use the word "the." I mean, it's weird. So they basically ask you to stop using Buckeye Tears, right?
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you stop it for a week? Did you stop it for a day?
We did not stop.
No, we do not stop.
We did not stop. We contacted our original lawyer, and he's like, Nico, they have no case here. This is obviously he's more biased towards us. We had a bunch of other lawyers reach out that same week saying, we have no idea why they would do this. They have nothing to stand on. There's already other liquor brands trademarked with the word Buckeye. It's a nut. It's not proprietary to Ohio State.
Right.
So from there, now we have a bunch of, not third party, but unbiased lawyers.
I want to check something out. Feel this, and can you feel a bump on the inside or the outside? Where is the bump?
Inside.
Bump is on the inside. Okay. We can continue.
Okay.
So you guys haven't stopped. Now, did they go away? Are they still involved with you? Where we stand right now?
Yeah. So they served that lawsuit, and we've been working with our legal team since then. So now it's a conglomerate of Michigan lawyers. And we are actually filing Monday the basically dismissal to what the response to what they have, and then in an effort to get a dismissal of the case because they don't have much to stand on from what you've been told. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the reaction. They went and made shirts.
We did.
Yeah, well,
In response to the lawsuit, we go ahead and made shirts.
I got to say, of course, I love it because it's a throwback style shirt. It's the classic team block lettering on what looks to be a very comfortable shirt, I must say. And I want one. I want it. It says Buckeye Tears.
The words of Rodney Dangerfield. Looks good on you, though.
No. It looks great. I love it. I love it, Nico. This is a special place. This footprint is a special place. I got to ask you, I know there's a ton of construction going on and people are putting all kinds of buildings. And I've heard through the grapevine that this actual hallowed space could be threatened by some construction. Can you share anything without getting too many details? Are you going to preserve this footprint? If not, is the Jug going to endure somewhere else if you have to take this place down?
That's a Perry question, but from what I understand, the Brown Jug is here to stay. If they do end up rebuilding, I know there's other sections of this block that are going up first, but if it was to get rebuilt, I think he has first rights to keeping the main, extending, redoing it, whatever the case is. But yeah, I think we will always have the Brown Jug here.
I love that because there's so many people this is homecoming, that this is their destination. They have to come back here because this is where we hung out in college. Me from the 90s, right?
Yep.
You much later.
Yep.
It's the place we hang out. And then, of course, there's all the icons on the walls. Who makes that call? Is that Perry? Is that your dad who gets, legends, I like to call them, Steve. Reserved for legends.
Really, yeah. Apparently.
That's a Perry
Apparently, I have not seen Greg, the professor, on the wall yet.
He's up here.
Yeah.
That's my favorite
That's
question.
why it's legends only.
People will come in here and they're like, "Where's my picture?" I'm like, out of the hundreds on the wall, I'm not sure where exactly yours is.
That's right.
They're all here.
How much did he pay you to be on the wall?
Okay. Yeah, that's
Zero.
right. I can imagine that. Someone's trying to find their picture. I love it. I love it. So you are gonna craft a beer, Nico, to be the Buckeye Tears actual beer. I don't even know how that works. I don't need to know.
Yeah, it's a local Michigan brewery.
How do you can you share the brewery that you're working with?
Yeah, they're out of Saugatuck. And we have two people we're talking to, but I believe we're gonna go with the group out of Saugatuck.
Cool.
So it's a local Michigan brewery.
So I'm imagining, go ahead.
I've been there, the Saugatuck Brewing Company. If it's that place, I've been there. It's fantastic. And I think the idea of what you're doing, by the way, if you get the Buckeye Tears right now, it's an Oktoberfest flavored beer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important.
Yeah, it's very good.
No.
So to make this decision, I'm imagining pints and all kinds of tasting experts, and you're flying in people from France and Paris. Is that the process?
Something
Do I
like
have
that.
it right?
Something like that.
You're bringing in old football coaches.
Exactly.
You're bringing in maybe even Buckeyes.
Yeah.
All right. I love it, man. I'm excited about it. And above all, Nico, thanks for having us here, and thanks for having this shrine, this special place. NBC just interviewed me about rivalries and what college football means. And the fact is, it's a tangible part of who we are. And places like the Jug, they're more like religious structures to so many of us,
And
right?
It's on Church Street, right?
Absolutely. It's on Church Street. It's right near Church Street. And to many people, it's a ritual. It's a holy day of obligation to go to football. But part of that is experiencing places like the Jug. Thank you very much, man. Go
Thank you
Blue.
for having me. Go Blue.
All right.
Well, you never know who you could run into here on The Professor and the Pundit as we're broadcasting live from the Brown Jug here on 1204 South University. And joining us right here at the table is Michigan interim coach for a time, Biff Poggi. Biff, welcome to the program, The Professor and the Pundit. It's great to have you here.
I'm honored to be here.
Well,
Man. I can't believe I saw the professor after I spoke to his class 2 days ago.
And that must have been a treat, but also must have been an honor for you to be able to serve as the Michigan interim head coach. What was that like for those 2 week periods? You obviously had your moments. We saw what you did on game day. We saw the post game deal with CBS after the game. Just tell us about your emotions and everything that you went through those entire 2 weeks.
Well, I've been in football honestly, I started playing when I was 5. So I've been in it 60 years. That was those 2 weeks were the single greatest 2 weeks in my 60-year career with football. To be able to lead Michigan in 2 games and more importantly, serve Sharon Moore, who I love, and serve those kids who I love. It was unbelievable. So right now I could get struck by lightning and I would go out a happy man.
I love it. And I think, Coach, you left people kind of wanting more Biff. More people want to hear from you. I imagine you have a big career if you want to do that, and it sounds like you have a lot of options. But in front of you right now, what are your goals with this team? I know you're here to serve and support Sharon, but what are your goals right now with this group?
Our goals are totally aligned. We need to win tomorrow. It's a very, people have misunderstood this game. This is a very, very important game, and they are a good football team. They are 3rd in the country in rushing defense. And I don't care who you are. If somebody's 3rd in the country, you don't play your best, you could get beat. So we want to get to 4-1, and then we'll play them one at a time. But what I want to do is I want to support Sharon, our coaches and the players any way that I can, because I honestly think I don't want to get too far out of our skis, but we could be a playoff team
this year.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So last question from me. There's a lot of talk and fans are funny and they're fickle. You've been around this program a long time. We wanted Jim Harbaugh fired. Yeah. Jim Harbaugh might go down as the greatest football coach. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's going to be in the conversation.
He's going to be in the conversation.
They wanted him out of town, just so you know. I would say most people. What should people understand about Sharon Moore? Because we haven't got to know him that much. We know him as an offensive coordinator. Right. We know he helped us win a national championship. Yes. You're on the inside. What should we know about this man to really understand him?
First of all, he's one of the nicest men you'll ever meet. And no one cares about his staff and his players the way he does. I mean, if you have children, and I have 6 of them, 4 boys, they all played Division I football. I was fortunate enough to have one play for Jim, but I would absolutely have loved the others to play for Sharon. He really cares about them. He's tough on them. He's tough on them because he wants them to be good men when they leave here. He's a football genius. Let me tell you something. The guy is a wizard. He's unique in that most offensive line coaches don't make great head coaches because they don't know the back ends on defense and offense. Sharon knows the back ends better than anybody. He could coach the quarterbacks. He could coach the safeties. He is as smart a guy as I've ever been around. And, people want to play hard for him. Here's the thing I will say to the Michigan faithful, and I love Michigan. I said when I got fired at Charlotte, Michigan is home for me, and it will always be my football home. Give him time. Give him time. This nonsense that's going on around the country where 3 games they fire a coach, 2 years they fire. What the hell are we doing? You want to build something that lasts? He's the right guy. Trust me. He's the right guy.
Awesome.
The reaction is getting incendiary across the country, whether it's Kalen DeBoer
They're crazy.
Or Dabo Sweeney, and you lose a few games and everybody wants you run out of town thinking that the next Kirk Signetti is happening everywhere.
It's not.
Well, I'll tell you, a guy I don't want to run out of town is this man right here. Coach, thank you for joining us. I know you got your family here. I got to say, um, you came into my class, my leadership class. This is an off the record conversation. It was personal. It was deep. It was authentic. Your observations about leadership, your observations about an authenticity and vulnerability about your own personal journey, those students will never forget that you did that and came in there. They took lessons from them, and everyone left that class better. Thank you, Coach, and go Blue.
Thank you. And I got a lot more out of it than I gave, Doc. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Go
All
Blue.
right, boys. Take care.
All right. We just had Coach Biff on. He was an interim coach. He took the mantle, and he said he's there to serve Sharon Moore. What do you need? You need people to serve your servers, serve your infrastructure, serve your IT, and all your people. Do your project management. Hire a CIO, help you get there. That's what Maverick Technology Partners does. They serve you, just like Biff Poggi served this team. That's what Maverick Technology Partners does. They do it better than anyone. They're easy to find. Where? MaverickTechnologyPartners.com, MaverickTechnologyPartners.com. And by the way, if you follow the stock market, IT is bigger than ever. AI is coming into play. You're not sure where to do, how to handle this, where to go. They know. MaverickTechnologyPartners.com. They can guide you on this journey. They can take over your IT infrastructure and let your company do what is the best things that you do with your people. They're people-powered technology solutions. That's MaverickTechnologyPartners.com. So we did have a historic day, even though we were off last week here at the Big House. 100 and what was it, Steve? 112,000,
112,000 officially.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was in College Station to watch Texas A&M Auburn. The previous record was held at Texas A&M for George Strait. Do you know why Texas A&M had George Strait playing at Kyle Field, the home of the 12th man?
No.
Because they needed the proceeds to help pay for the $75 million buyout of Jimbo Fisher.
Okay.
And I am not joking. That is the truth.
George Strait, by the way, is one of the guys I would go see. I did not know who Zach Bryan is. Here's a little secret. Neither did Ward Manuel.
Yes.
Before someone suggested him.
I talked to some Texas A&M fans. They said their record was going away, but they did not know who Zach Brown was. No, they knew who Zach Brown was.
Yes.
They did not know who Zach Bryan was.
I also know who Zach Brown is. Okay.
I don't.
A lot of people love ZB, as they call him, and they loved him. And by the way, the concert, Steve, was an A+. And you had people in cowboy hats and boots, and they sold $5 million of merchandise, Steve. By the way, much of it licensed merchandise. Licensed. You know what that means for the athletic department?
Yes, it's a certain percentage. Do you know that percentage?
I do.
Oh, what is it?
I do. It's 10% when they produce it, 20% when they sell it. That's a sweet plum, my man. That's a sweet plum.
Wow.
Okay. But we're not going to talk about Zach Bryan, which, by the way, was an A+. And yes, I can confirm on the record, we're going to have more concerts in Michigan Stadium.
Absolutely.
They projected in their budget $1.7 million. I guarantee you it's closer to $3 million. With the merchandise sales, it's closer to $3 million.
You just got to fit it in the tunnel.
You do. You got to fit it in the tunnel and make it work. All right. So, but there were some other games going on that weekend, right? Penn State in a whiteout, and I don't know if you caught game day, but they all look like Colonel Sanders.
Oh,
Steve,
God.
They look like Colonel Sanders.
You know what? I mean, and for some reason, Pat McAfee feels like he has to strip every time he's on the show.
It's weird.
And I don't need it anymore.
It's creepy.
I don't need that.
It's creepy.
Not need that in my pregame show.
You know,
it makes me want to have Lee Corso come back.
We've accepted that these highly charged, fan-driven guys like Portnoy and McAfee and the pundit are the future of broadcasting. Okay,
that's right.
We've
wild man.
We've conceded.
Takes his shirt off and his pants off and everything else.
Hey, Whitey,
that's
just please. Okay, so but there was a game there was a game, and the Nittany Lions once again on the pinnacle
Right.
of this is the one, James Franklin, and clearly the pressure is building, and the stats and the charts and the tweets, it's building and building and building, and once again we're left with a awkwardly stunned James Franklin staring off into the white abyss as Oregon is celebrating on the field. Steve, what do we take away from this? Once again, it's actually getting kind of fun to watch in the Schadenfreude kind of way.
Here's a few things. One, first of all, James Franklin is 1-18 against Big Ten teams ranked in the top 10. But the national media is treating it as if, wow, I sense a trend. I mean, at what point in the 19 games was it not a trend that they were losing big time to big time teams?
Right.
Now, I will grant you that this was the first time that Penn State was probably a slight favorite in some of these games, although I think probably thought that Michigan coming to Happy Valley without their head coach shifted towards Penn State as well. But more often than not, Penn State has been a slight underdog. But, you know, even a blind squirrel catches a nut more than once out of 19 times, does it not?
It does.
It's not like Ohio. It's not like Penn State was a 2-touchdown underdog to all these teams ranked in the top 10.
I don't care how much you are into analytics. There's a problem in these games. There's a problem in these games, whether they were favored or not, Steve. Yes, of course you have to take a few of these games.
But what's interesting to me is that I don't think it's necessarily obvious James Franklin anymore. Because in the past, he would have a game won, then try to do something cute, and it would backfire and lose the game. And you can point right to it. This is where Penn State lost the game. I don't think James Franklin has cost his team a game in 3 years. Okay?
You don't think so?
I do not think so.
Okay.
But Drew Aller has, their quarterback.
Ouch.
And all of their other quarterbacks that they have had in the past, from 5-star quarterbacks to 3-star quarterbacks, they've had a problem. Now, here's what you've got. You have got a mental block, like Ohio State has one right now with Michigan, like Nebraska has against any team that's within 7 points of them, like the old Detroit Lions, like Michigan years ago when they couldn't win on the road against a ranked team.
That's right.
That's much milder than being 1-18 against comparable competition. And I think at some point, the players feel it. And you would think they would not feel it when they're playing in a whiteout on their home turf and at night to a West Coast team?
No.
A West Coast team that notoriously doesn't play well when crossing time zones to the east? You know who looked like the poised team? Oregon. And Dante Moore is their quarterback. A team that returned 1 starter on offense and 3 starters on defense, looked like the veteran team that came into Happy Valley. The first time they've ever experienced a whiteout. And they were in control. And when it started to get a little neck collar tight, they made the play to win the game.
Yeah, and I don't know what Dan Lanning is snorting, sniffing, drinking after the game. I want some. Maybe it's Buckeye Tears, Steve.
Buckeye Tears. We're in another glass of Buckeye Tears.
It's all pints. 22s.
No, they do look like 22s.
So James Franklin, a little Schadenfreude. Of course, our Huskers.
Oh gosh, I enjoy both. I enjoy both Penn State and Nebraska losing. I'm not going to hide it.
What an incredible honor to speak to the man who took down the Huskers just a minute ago. I'm still reeling. Steve, do we have time for things? Very timely here on Homecoming. Things that only Greg cares about.
Of course.
All right.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Everybody knows nobody cares.
No one cares.
Nobody cares.
I care.
Then do whatever you want.
It's a long, especially today, because if you can hear the people down here, guys. We got alums. We got students. The campus is packed. This is a hard ticket. This is an underrated hard ticket, right? It's not because it's Wisconsin. If you come down here, the students have the right of way all over town. Anywhere in Ann Arbor, if you see a young person and you're at a stop sign, or often not, they get the right of way.
Yes.
Okay. Here's my problem.
Okay.
Hey, old man.
That's you, Boomer.
You're walking alone. Yeah. You're walking alone. Hey, Professor A-hole. It doesn't apply to you. It doesn't apply to you. Do you hear me? You kneel to the car, old man. You old fool. You bastard. You can't even stand sports. The students get the right of way.
I understand.
It's not for now. Okay, you're like, Dooley, what if I'm in a pack of students? Fine. Hustle up, get in the pack of students and walk across the street with them. Okay? You have cover. If you're alone, wait there. If you're in a parking lot, you don't get to just walk in the middle of the parking lot. Get over to the side, old fool. I'm sick of it.
I will tell you, I'm right there.
It doesn't apply to us.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
have I broken this rule?
I try to be
Yes.
humble. I try to be humble.
Okay.
But the thing that does irritate me, one, just to show you where I'm at, if I'm at that pedestrian, I don't even approach the street. I look away from it when I see traffic coming.
I like that.
I will literally.
Guys like me are looking for the eyes. White are your eyes?
Because the cars are coming through and they're going, oh gosh, here we got to slow down again. That's what I feel when I approach as a driver.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I got to go slow down again. So feeling that, I do not want to be that guy as a walker. So when I approach the intersection, I just want to look away and let the car go by.
I love it.
All right. That's how I feel. Now, the one thing that irritates me as a driver is when the person crosses the street and doesn't even bother to look at the 30-mile-an-hour car coming right for them.
Well, that's every student here.
Doesn't even look.
We're wearing headphones here. That's what students are wearing. They're not looking, or they're looking at their phones.
No.
But it's students.
I will say that on occasion, they will look to make sure that we're going to abide by the pedestrian law. And when we give them the nod, they will nod back occasionally. But the ones that irritate me are the ones that are just going, please hit me and I will sue your pants off. That kind of thing. Because I feel like that's their mentality. It's almost like they want to wait for a car to approach before they cross the street.
I think we can agree, Steve. We're officially old. We've done it again. Can we just toast one here to the jug?
Oh, yeah.
To Perry, the Godfather, to
Absolutely.
Nico, to Biff Poggi. And by the way, to all our fans, right now between Spotify, between Apple, we've got almost 800 followers. You're out there. We get a good 1,000 plays per episode. We're bigger than ever. A huge thank you for 75 episodes of support. And Steve, you're the best, man.
I appreciate you too. I mean, this has been years in the making. We've been doing it. We're at 75. We're going to go to 100, hopefully. I'd like to thank our sponsors who made this possible, of course, at Nick Hopwood at peakwealthmanagement.com.
Yeah,
and
my man, Timmy Adams from Maverick Technology Partners. Just great partners for us. In fact, we have places like this that help us and let us set up here, but we wouldn't be doing this without Nick Hopwood and Peak Wealth Management, and of course my man Tim Adams at MaverickTechnologiesPartners.com.
And if you want to hear the breakdown on the Wisconsin game over the weekend, listen to the Big 1050 WTKA.com to be able to hear our look at the game itself in Wisconsin. And of course, the week ahead, we're going to have another podcast very soon breaking down this Michigan-Wisconsin game. But until then, Greg, go blue.
Go blue.